Very good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we discuss big expansion plans for Manchester United and beyond by Qatar. Also, a huge stay away message to funds such as the Elliott Group and everybody else who wants to invest into Manchester United with investment funds. Also, big shout out to Ten Hag. He's won Manager of the Month again. Rashford's won Player of the Month again. David de Gea's won Save of the Month. Also, Ten Hag did say he can't ignore David de Gea's terrible distribution the other night. What does that mean? We'll talk about that because I forgot to do it last night. What a show that was. Also, some players that could be heading back to Manchester United, unsellable assets. How is that going to impact Manchester United's summer transfer window? So lots to get involved with. It is the weekend. I hope you're doing well. How are you, good people? I've just had a fantastic full English breakfast and I'm feeling very, very satisfied. There's nothing better than when you've had a few beers, which I did last night, wake up after a good sleep, good shower, and a full English breakfast cooked by Mrs. Goldbridge. She won't be cooking it for you, just for me, but lovely. I feel satisfied and ready to attack the day. I'm like Gary Neville at 10 o'clock in the morning after an English breakfast. He gets up at 5 and probably does 10 laps of his mansion or something, I don't know. But I'm ready to attack the day 5 hours later than Gary Neville, who's probably been on Twitter tweeting about politics. I don't know. At least he hasn't blocked me. Anyway, let's go. I will tell you what the King English breakfast lineup is in a minute. Someone says, what do you have on your English breakfast? I will tell you in a minute. Is English breakfast code for something else? It could be, but I'm not. Are you presenting Match of the Day tonight, says Robert McCormack? I don't want to talk about Match of the Day. You know what? Honestly, I want to talk about this expansion plan. I want to talk about everything that's going on. I don't watch Match of the Day. You know, I do not watch Match of the Day, so I haven't watched it in years. Solskjaer put me off it, and actually what I tend to do now is I'll just go on to Sky on YouTube and watch the highlights, which go up quite quickly. I don't watch Match of the Day. I'd rather be watching a film on a Saturday night. I used to watch it. I don't watch it anymore. So I will be boycotting it because I don't watch it anyway. Anyway, let's get into the show. Lots to get into. Let's start off with... Look, I want to send a big message out to the fan base because I think we've got a fantastic fan base. There is still a toxic minority that try and divide people, and I think we know who those people are. Superior fans who act, they're basically xenophobic. They have an idea of what a United fan is, and if you're not from a certain area or you're not, they don't like you, they'll attack you, and we know who they are. They're all over social media, etc. But in the main, I think this fan base is in a really good place. Most of us wanted Ten Hag, and we've been proven right. And the team and the manager and the fans are in tune for the first time in years, and there's a really good feel around the fan base. And it's great to see that we were speaking last night about this Elliott Group having a meeting with Man United on Thursday, and they're obviously through to the second stage. I saw a bit of it yesterday. We spoke about it on the show last night. I saw loads of it late last night and loads of it this morning. I'm not going to call out separate groups or anything like that because I don't think we need that anymore. I think we need to be united, and I think anybody who's trying to divide this fan base now needs to be called out for it. There's no need. We're looking at a new future, and everybody is saying we don't want the Elliott Group, and it's all over social media. Some people are sending emails. It's great to see because it is important, and I don't care. I never have cared. I don't care how old you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care anything to do with that. If you're a Man United fan and you're being vocal about what you want for this club and we're in it together, that's all that matters. I can't be bothered with the division. And most of the division comes from lies that people just feel, jealous or inferior, or that's not a real fan. We represent real fans. They don't. What's that all about? If we get bought by Qatar, all your real fan shit goes out the window. Because if we get bought by Qatar, then we're the same as Man City and we're the same as Newcastle. We're just trying to win. Don't come at other fans because, you're from India or you're from America or you weren't born in Salford. As soon as we get bought by Qatar, that's out the window. We're Manchester United, a global football club. Whether people like that or not, that's what we are. And that's what but the thing is, that's what we are anyway. I don't like the whole... put the Manchester back in Manchester. I don't like this whole I'm a better fan than you because of where I'm born or where my accent is or because I go to matches, this, that and the other. We're a massive global football club and we always have been. And if we become that ownership from Qatar, then, that's not British ownership. It's not Manchester ownership. But we need that super wealth. We are a very, very, very big global fan base, and that's what we are. And seeing this stuff this morning about how people are opposed to investment and they're vocal about it, I think it's great. I think that's the best of what Manchester United really is, and that's the best of what this fan base is. And we're not arguing amongst each other, and we're actually looking at what's best for this football club. Because I tell you what, if there is such thing as a super fan, how are you going to define that? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we as a fan base got beat 7-0 by our biggest rivals last Sunday. Are we going to start arguing about who's a proper fan? Come on, what this is about is our future. This is about your kids' future. This is about your relationships. This is about, your relatives' past. I think of, my granddad was the reason I support Manchester United. I was in the loft when I moved house a few months ago, and I find these old pictures of basically paper cuttings of pictures of Man United teams from the 50s and 60s. And you think, this team did matter to him and a lot of other people who are no longer with us. I just don't get it. I do get it, because everything's about power and everything's about making yourself feel better than everybody else. But ultimately, it's really quite encouraging to see so many different people coming out and saying, no, we don't want the Elliott Group. That's not what we want. And we don't want any. It's not just, the Elliott Group are unfortunate because it's public. There's only 3 public bids: the Elliott Group, Sir Jim and Qatar. But the Elliott Group represent probably 2 or 3 other bids, which are all about investment and hedge funds and equity and stuff like that. And we don't want that. So it's good to see so many people coming out and saying, we don't want this. And they'll be very aware of that now. That's all we can do. So all we can do as a fan base is vocally put it out there. We don't want that type of ownership. And it's out there, and people are going to keep doing it, which is fantastic. That shouldn't be on the screen. I need to take that off. I just was in the middle of a chat, so let me get that off. All that is, we've still got the London tour date. We've still got some tickets. Manchester and Dublin are sold out, but we've still got some tickets for London. If you want to get them while they are there. I don't know how many we've got left, because obviously we promoted it last night. There might be 10, there might be 50. Check it out through the link in the video description, or scan the QR code and get yours now. Let me just turn that off, and that should disappear, and it has. That's great. Okay, let's get back to the show. So yeah, the Glazers have received a warning, and any investment group that's looking to buy Man United have received a warning. What I will say, hi Mark, Liverpool won't get Bellingham this summer. Asking price is 150 million, says Paddy. Well, maybe he'll go to Real Madrid. But look, I think Bellingham will go to Liverpool, but we'll see. The big thing I do want to say, and the funny thing is, there's a podcast out this morning. I think it's with the BBC, and a lot of people are coming out with it. I'm not going to say we've been talking about this for the last few days. I think the Glazers are going. I don't think the Elliott Group or any other investment group are going to make the Glazers want to stay. I don't think the Glazers can afford to stay. And I'll just give you this now. It's a tap in. It's really easy. If anybody's worried about investment funds like the Elliott Group propping up the Glazers to stay, 2 things. Why is the club for sale? Because they could have sorted this out without. If there was somebody willing to fund the Glazers staying, why would you put the club up for sale? That Elliott Group's been doing this for years. They did it with AC Milan a few years ago. Why would you put the club up for sale? So I don't think it makes sense that that's going to happen. And the most important thing is, and we've said it before, if the Elliott Group or any other investment group were trying to keep the Glazers in power, and that's what the Glazers wanted, they can't afford to do it, because the money they would get, they would have to invest, and then they'd have to invest more. They don't want to do it. Part of the presentation that Man United are giving to Sir Jim and Qatar and the Rain Group and everybody else is saying, if you invest $1 billion, you'll make 2 or 3 billion over the next 10 years. If you invest in a stadium, you'll make a load of money back on this, that and the other. It's all investment plans. Basically they're selling the club as, if you spend this, you'll get this, because the Glazers can't afford to spend it. And that's the simple thing. We're up for sale. They are going to sell, in my opinion, because they're actually doing presentations saying, if you spend this much, you'll make this much. And the question is, why don't you spend it yourself? We don't want to. We can't afford to. The Glazers can't afford to stay. The Glazers can't afford to stay, and they're not going to stay by borrowing more money that they'd have to spend out anyway. They're looking to cash out. When will you come to Australia, Cesar? I don't know at the moment. I don't know. But just on from that as well, story coming out late last night, early this morning. Qatar, Al Thani, massive expansion plans for Manchester United. Look at the Manchester City model. I think they've got teams in Asia. I don't know whether they've got a team in Africa yet, but they've got 2 or 3 in Europe. They've got obviously the New York team. They've got a team in Australia. Got a team in South America. This is what Al Thani wants to do with the 92 Foundation. Apparently, they want to get Man United and actually build a network of teams around the world. Man City are already doing this. It's not illegal. It's not, breaking any rules because it's already being done. And this is something that apparently Al Thani will look to do. They love football, says Glazers out. Somebody in the chat said, "Oh no, this is bad news." I'll be honest. I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend that I like that. I don't like it, but it's not a deal breaker. I mean, at the end of the day, I personally believe that every club should be owned. Look at what we've just spoken about for the first few minutes about, the fan base, and we don't want it divided. We want everyone together. I'm fed up of, this "I'm better than you" bollocks, and, you're not a real fan and all this. It's just tiresome. It's tiresome. There's so many toxic people out there that just clearly don't have very happy lives, that spend a lot of their life just trying to dig other people out. I don't get it. But it's still your football club. Of course it is. I think if you start bringing football clubs under a group like Man City have, how do those fans feel of Melbourne and New York and the South American team? How do you feel knowing that you're part of the City group? And ultimately, Man City are the biggest club in that group. And if you get a decent player, they're going to go to Man City. Maybe they're quite happy with that. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that network or web of clubs, because are you franchising football in a way? Not really. Are you basically creating a load of feeder clubs? Yes. I think football, maybe I'm going a bit Gary Neville here, but I do think that football should be, every football club fighting for themselves. But maybe some of them need that financial input. What I'm saying is it's not a terrible thing if that's what Al Thani wants to do and Qatar want to do. And I imagine there's probably a lot of clubs that are going to do it. I mean, I guarantee Newcastle are going to do it. So look, at the end of the day, I suppose what I'm trying to say is that if we're going to go down that model, and we don't know whether we are, but if we're going to be bought by Al Thani, then we're probably going to do some similar things to what Abu Dhabi's done with Manchester City. It's the route we're going to go down. I can't pretend that it's all going to be amazing and you're going to enjoy everything about it. But look, it's big plans. It's big football plans. I think the interesting thing will be what happens with PSG. If I'm honest, I mean, are PSG going to stay under Qatari ownership, and are they going to keep that subtle link between Man United and PSG? Barca paying the refs' opinion. Could Barca players be looking out for, says Marius? The only Barcelona player I want is De Jong, and I think that's the player that Ten Hag wants. Don't invest Man United. Alex says, don't invest optionals trading percentage. Moving averages is crazy. Can go from 1p to 50k in seconds. I lost 5k in Telstar option. They're pumped. So don't invest Man United optionals trading percentage. I don't even understand what that is, so I'm definitely not going to do it. But thanks for the super chat. I'm not going to talk about Barcelona. It's the United stand. We've got loads to talk about. I'm not. Barcelona's problem. What I will say is that Frenkie de Jong to Manchester United would be Ten Hag's dream move, and I think it would be a fantastic move for de Jong as well. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. In relation to the sale, most of what we were talking about the sale was on the show last night. You'll probably get a lot of that discussed today by others, but we were on the ball at 8 o'clock last night. Loads discussed about the Elliott Group, etc. As a quick summary before I move on to this De Gea story from Ten Hag, Elliott Group met with Man United on Thursday and we're at the game. You've got, obviously, Rain Group are doing this interview process, presentations. We've got Qatar and Al Thani's team and Sir Jim and Ineos next week having their presentation. They've all gone through to the second stage. We know a little bit about Sir Jim. We know a little bit about the Qatar bid. And we're starting to find out now that this Elliott investment group, who have, whether they want to be made public, have been made public, they're an investment fund. Who are they trying to prop up? What are they trying to do? They're trying to make money, and the reaction to that from Man United fans is, we don't like this. And look, maybe there's a slim chance that they could be good for the club. I don't think there is much chance of that. And also, we don't know what their plan is. So it's good to see that people are vocal about it. How would that be a great move for Frenkie, says Mister. I think there's more stability at Manchester United. I think the league is better than La Liga. I think he'd be playing with Casemiro in a football club that's progressive. I think there's more chance of Man United winning the Champions League before Barcelona. I think that's a big statement, but I think the way Barcelona are heading, I think that's true. I think Manchester United would be a very, very, very good fit for Frenkie de Jong. I respect the fact that he probably wants to stay at Barcelona, but if he has to leave Barcelona, I don't think he'd be disappointed coming to Manchester United. And for us as Man United fans, I mean, look, Frenkie de Jong and Casemiro in midfield. I don't think there's many better combinations that you can imagine in European football. I think Frenkie de Jong next to Casemiro, they complement each other so well. You've got Casemiro's ability to run a midfield and shepherd the back four and allow people to push on. Then you've got Frenkie de Jong, who's got the intelligence to be able to drop in and support Casemiro, but also be progressive with the ball and join the attack as well. I mean, on paper, it looks great. Morning, Mark. Hope you're well. I watch your streams every morning and love the content, says Joey. Thank you very much for your super chat there, Joey. Appreciate that. And hi, Mark. Do you not think Elliott Group have upper hand because they're only potential buyers who didn't go public themselves, says Charlie George. I think the problem with the Elliott Group or anybody else that's bidding for Man United is we don't know anything about what they're about to try and do. Have you heard about a potential Camavinga bid? I saw something on YouTube the other day. I think it was one of the smaller channels talking about it, and I was like, I mean, if you're doing videos about Man United signing Camavinga, you're really not being imaginative when there's so much to talk about at the moment. No, I mean, look, it might be a news story, but it's not a credible one. Yeah, I mean, look, anything's possible in football. Maybe Real Madrid want Bellingham, and to do that, they have to sell Tchouaméni or Camavinga. But I don't see that. I don't see that as an option at the moment. I don't think it's worthy of discussing. Glazers out, they're done, says D-Train. They are going to take about 44 billion for the club. There is religion at play and other things. We are sold 4.1 billion, says D-Train. And Mark, if the Qataris get United, would you get a haircut like Avram to celebrate, says Stephen? No. Thank you very much for all the chats. Keep them coming in. Appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Let me just get rid of Charles Hutchinson. Yeah, he's gone. Well done, Ladios. I don't know why people tune in to be knobheads, really. But thanks for the mods. Big up. I think it's very telling that we get leaks about Qatar's plans, but not any other bids. Based on that alone, I'd like them to join. We get transparency, says Rasta Lion. Let me just have a sip of my drink. Lovely cooked English breakfast. Stay tuned. I'll tell you what the lineup was. The ideal English breakfast. But they are quite salty. A bit like Spurs fans. But anyway, let's talk about this story from Ten Hag yesterday. I heard it. I wanted to talk about it, but last night we got a little bit distracted, and this morning I had to talk about some other things. Topical things. Can I just say, first of all, Manager of the Month, Premier League Manager of the Month again, Erik Ten Hag. Premier League Player of the Month again, Marcus Rashford. I know we're all still battered and bruised by the 7-0 loss to Liverpool, but you know what? I think we're going through the stages of recovery where we acknowledge it, we're not happy about it, but that result against Betis, we move forward, but we don't forget. I think that's really important. And what we must also forget is that Ten Hag does deserve Premier League Manager of the Month, and Rashford does deserve Premier League Player of the Month. We've been brilliant since Christmas, and we were horrific against Liverpool, but there's a bigger picture. As I said, it's never acceptable, and it's very difficult to move past that Liverpool game, but it's 3 points. Whether they beat us 1-0 or 21-0, it's still 3 points. And surrounding that Liverpool result, we've gone through every cup tournament, we've won a cup, and we've won loads of games to make top four pretty much inevitable. I wonder deep down, if you said to Jurgen Klopp, would you rather beat Manchester United 7-0 at Anfield, or would you rather have a Carabao Cup and have top four on lockdown? I know what we would rather have, but I guarantee he wouldn't admit it. But I guarantee if you said to Jurgen Klopp, you can swap United's position and get beat 7-0 by Man United, but you're still in every tournament, you've won one, and you're comfortably top four, I guarantee you'd take it. And then the hilarious thing is, look, I've seen Liverpool merchandise with cups and 7-0 on it. I think I was speaking to a Liverpool fan on Wednesday, and they were bantering me, and I said, but come on, seriously, how long are you going to carry this on for? And they said, forever. And I said, no, but come on. And he said, yeah, you know what, we need to move on. If we lose to Bournemouth at the weekend, we look a right bunch of mugs. And if we don't get top four, it won't matter. But you know, like I say, T-shirts and mugs about winning 7-0 against Man United, I think there becomes a cut-off point where if you are a big club, you need to move on. Because otherwise, that's going to be your season DVD, isn't it? Beating Man United 7-0. Like, and then you're going to become what Arsenal were a few years ago. You know, 4th place cup. You battered us. We're not happy. You're happy. But you shouldn't have T-shirts and mugs and DVD releases about it. Come on. I mean, you know, Liverpool have been challenging for titles and won the Champions League. It's a big result, but, you know. Mark, given the season ticket waiting time is around 10 years, could Qatar ownership make Old Trafford 100,000 plus, says Paul? They could. I always say 90,000 is what we'll go up to, but I've always said that I think that Man United could consistently fill a 100,000 capacity stadium. I think we could, especially if the football was good. Can we do a 9-0 repeat against Southampton, says Akil? And just remember what you said at the start of the season, Mark. This season will have highs, but it will also have some massive lows because it's season 1. Exactly, Glennie. Exactly. And it's how you respond to those lows. And we've responded to every low really well. Man City, can't remember what the game was after Man City, but we definitely didn't get smashed. Beat Betis 4-1 after Liverpool. After Brentford, we went and beat Liverpool, didn't we? So, you know, we've had some big lows, but we tend to respond with some consistency as well, and that's the main thing. So, yeah, look, Ten Hag, big shout out. He deserves that Manager of the Month. People will talk about the Liverpool game, but that was in March, wasn't it? For February, he deserves it, and Rashford deserves it as well. So, big shout out to them. Of course, you might not have noticed this, and you might not like it, but David de Gea won Premier League Save of the Month as well. So, there was 3 awards yesterday. But also yesterday, Erik Ten Hag said in his press conference for the Southampton game that he can't ignore David de Gea's poor distribution against Betis, although his distribution has improved a lot this season. What does that mean? I think that Ten Hag acknowledging the improvement in David de Gea's distribution is a good thing for de Gea. I think the fact that the club are trying to sort out a new contract for him is a good thing for de Gea. But the big question mark is going to be, what are we going to do about the reserve or new goalkeeper that we bring into Manchester United in the summer? And that will be the telling thing. Are we going to bring in a goalkeeper that's, 60 million, like Costa? Or are we going to bring David Raya in from Brentford? In which case, they're going to be competing for the number 1 shirt from the very first game of the season. Are we going to bring in an up-and-coming goalkeeper that's going to, probably learn the ropes for a year or two and then push De Gea? Or are we going to just bring Dean Henderson back? Because what we're not going to do is keep Tom Heaton as the number 2. Because Butland's ended up being the number 3, hasn't he? So I think people are going to run ahead with whatever agenda they've got. Some people are very pro De Gea, keep him. And some people, as we know, are very against De Gea. What I would say is that there is no true answer here, is there? I mean, maybe I've had an English breakfast and I'm feeling satisfied and calm and, I want to sort of talk about both sides for once. But if I'm being absolutely honest and I take away the David de Gea bias here, there is no answer. That's why people keep falling out, because there's no definitive. Like, on one side of the coin, you've got people saying, it's not broken, don't change David de Gea, he's a world-class shot stopper and that's what his job is. I mean, I saw somebody saying today, when Christian Eriksen comes back, why don't we put him in goal? Because his distribution is brilliant. And then you'll see why you need a good shot stopper, which I suppose in some ways is quite a clever way of looking at it, because do you want a number 10 or do you want a world-class shot stopper? And who is the world-class shot stopper and number 10? Because, Raya and Costa, they're good, but they're not as good as De Gea at shot stopping. They're not. They're much better with the ball, but they're not as good at shot stopping. So where's the line? But then you've got people saying, his distribution is so bad, it causes us problems playing out from the back, which affects the line that the defence can play. So, I think, to be honest, it's probably got to that point where if you're pro De Gea, you're pro De Gea. And if you want De Gea sold, you want De Gea sold. But if I'm absolutely honest, I don't think anybody's right. The person who will be right will be Erik Ten Hag, because there is no definitive. If somebody says he's got to go, I found another clip compilation of him doing bad passes, then the opposition will say, well, this took me 2 minutes to find 5 world-class saves in the last month that no one else is going to make. So, it's like going to war and you've both got the same artillery. There is no winner. So I think we're in a position with De Gea, if we're being absolutely honest, where if you want him to go, you want him to go, and if you want him to stay, you want him to stay. But neither side can, both sides think they're right. So I think it's just at that point now where I'm sort of like, I'm a little bit tired myself of saying I would keep De Gea and bring in a younger goalkeeper and keep it like that for 2 years, because I think it gives us the best chance of stability over the next 2 years if we want to win the title. Some people will say, well, no, I think it's worth the risk to bring a goalkeeper in that's better with their feet, because they might be able to just adapt to the club straight away and not cost us points next year, and then we still might win the title. So, look, that's the balance, isn't it? But I don't think it's really... If I was doing the compilations of De Gea saves, or I was doing the compilations of De Gea mistakes, I'd just stop doing it and leave it to Ten Hag, because you're never going to win either way. I see it all the time. If you say something like David de Gea is world class, you'll get loads of people saying yeah, and then you get loads of people saying no. And if you start doing clips of his compilations, you'll get loads of people saying yeah, and you get loads of people saying no. People are just trying to win a battle they're not going to win, because you've got strong arguments on both sides. The person who will decide this, the referee, if you may, is Erik Ten Hag. And I don't think you can read Ten Hag, because at the start of the season, he was like, Harry Maguire is my captain. Yes, he's my first choice centre-back. And then 2 games in, he's out and he's never been back. So you can be Ten Hag's number one, and then in no time, you can be on the bench, and that's where you are. So I think it's very hard to read Ten Hag. I actually think the Betis game probably did De Gea harm, because even I, as a De Gea fan, had to say, and I don't acknowledge the bad distribution. I don't think it's a huge problem, but it was on Wednesday, and I think that will be an eye-opener to Ten Hag, who sees it every day. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I nearly said this is what I would do, but it ultimately doesn't matter what I do. You know what I would do, and I know what some of you would do, and we're completely on different sides on this, but realistically, I think one thing we can all agree on is a decision will be made in the summer. And maybe De Gea won't be number one next year, and maybe he will. But the decision will be made in the summer. And what I think is really important is, if you do care about Manchester United, and I know you all do, is really, on this, Tom Heaton can't go in goal until the end of May. So De Gea's got to go in goal till the end of May. We are going to play, hopefully, FA Cup finals, hopefully Europa League finals, and hopefully solidify top 4. Whether you want De Gea to be in goal or not, I do think if you care about Man United, and I know you do, can we just get behind him till the end of the season? Because if you're right and his distribution isn't good enough, do you think Ten Hag hasn't realised that? And if I'm right and Ten Hag and De Gea is going to be our goalkeeper next season, do you think Ten Hag's not realised that? Put your faith in the manager and get behind the goalkeeper. That's all I think we should do, because I'm a little bit tired of seeing Man United fans slagging off De Gea, doing clips about De Gea, when we can't change the situation till the summer, and he will be the goalkeeper. And it doesn't make sense to me that after every mistake, United fans are just slagging him off, because, to be honest with you, players do spend time on social media, and he's a first team player. And can I just say to the prats on social media who've clipped me up out of context again and gone, oh, how can this guy say this, that, maybe fans could be influencing De Gea's performances when he's slagged off McTominay and Maguire and Rashford in the past. Very, very different situation for one. But yes, players do take note of social media. Some of those players I've mentioned you there, I've been contacted by privately asking me about it. So I know that these people do watch social media. I'm not going to tone down what I think about whether players are good enough to play for Manchester United, but this is a very different situation. If I think we should sell Harry Maguire in the summer, or Scott McTominay in the summer, they're not starting every game for Man United at the moment. We've got Varane and Martinez, and we've got Casemiro. So they're not even starting games. With De Gea, not only is he a legend of the club who deserves a lot more respect than those two players, he's earned it, but also he's going to start every game that matters between now and the end of the year. It's a very big difference to say a squad player should be sold in the summer to a first team player getting a load of abuse. I'm not even saying you're wrong about De Gea being moved on in the summer. I disagree, but I'm not saying you're wrong. But what I am saying is he's the number one goalkeeper, and he will be till the end of May. If you want to win another trophy, maybe give him a bit of support. Maybe get behind him and let Ten Hag choose in the summer. Because I'll tell you what, there is a chance that Ten Hag in the summer is going to bring in a Raya or a Costa. I can't deny that, there is. So just be patient. Get behind the keeper, get behind the team that's going out there every 3.5 days trying to win us another trophy. Woke up feeling like we were standing on the shoulders of giants today. Man United will never fade away, though. Some might say we will, but let's not look back in anger. Let's go supersonic and live forever. Jacob's been listening to Oasis. There we go. Okay. So, and also, can I just say as well, I'll take it a step further. If I've said that Scott McTominay or Harry Maguire or Marcus Rashford or Bruno Fernandes or anybody else has had a shit game for Man United, it's because I think they've had a shit game for Man United. David de Gea had a shit game for Man United on Wednesday. So I don't know what people are talking about bias or anything like that. I mean, as I said, somebody on Wednesday night actually clipped a different player ratings where I gave David de Gea an 8 and tried to pretend I'd given him an 8 on Wednesday night. I gave him a 5. One thing about my player ratings are I don't do agenda and I don't do bias. If somebody has a bad game, whether they're one of my favourite players or not, they'll get a low score, and I've always done that. Because I think that's the way you've got to be if you want to progress. I really, really do. Eriksen's going to be back after the international break, says Yash. That has gone so quick, hasn't it? It'll be really great to have Eriksen back. But look, talking about players coming back, I don't know whether you saw this. Eric Bailly is going to return in the summer. For Eric Bailly to join Marseille, Marseille needed to qualify for the Champions League. I don't know whether anybody knows what position they're in, and play over half of their games. Apparently, he's going to miss that target of playing over half the games. So we're going to end up in a situation where we've got Eric Bailly back in the summer. We've got Tellez probably going to come back in the summer. You've still got people like Dean Henderson, who's going to come back in the summer. You've got people like, well, Twan Sebi and Jones will go because their contracts run out. Some people want Martial to go, Brandon Williams. There's 5 players there, isn't there? Plus, some people want to see Harry Maguire go, Scott McTominay go. But there's probably about 7 or 8 players that need to go. So apparently Marseille are second, says Escape Artist and Trilly. Thank you very much for that. I don't know how many games. Eric Bailly's played. So it looks like they will qualify for the Champions League, but I don't think Eric Bailly's played enough games for them to have to buy him for £7 million. But look, there's going to be quite a few players that Man United are going to have to offload in the summer. And this feeds back into what we were talking about last night. If the new owners don't get hold of the club until the end of June, how are you going to get all that business done in a month? Because July and then the season starts. So, yeah, Bailly's got to go. Tellez has got to go. Henderson's got to go. Brandon Williams has got to go. Martial's got to go. McTominay's got to go. Maguire's got to go. I mean, I'm not saying I would get rid of all those 7, by the way. I'm just saying that, if you took a poll on it, I think them 7 would be there as well. There's a lot of players to get rid of on decent money. And those players have got to go to help us buy, by the way, because McTominay 30 million, Maguire 30 million, Henderson 30 million, Williams 10, 15 million, Eric Bailly 10 million, Tellez maybe 10 million, and there was somebody else, I forget, Martial 20, 30 million. There's a good 150 million quid worth there that we need to move on. Not forgetting the wage bill, there's probably, Martial's 250, Maguire's 200, there's probably a good, bloody hell, that's a week, isn't it? Probably about £1 million a week there. That can't be right. Bloody hell. Let me just do quick maths on that. Martial's on 250. Well, let's say Maguire's on 200. Martial's on 200. That's 400k a week. Bay 80, 480. Brandon Williams will be on about 50, 530. Mark Tominey's on about 50, 580. Henderson's on 140, 720. And who else did I say? 720. Let's say 700k in wages, but there was another player, I can't think who it was. Tellez, 720. Yeah, Tellez is on. Yeah, about 800 grand a week in wages we can remove. That's a week. So that's times 52, 800k a week. God, 8 million times 4, 32. You talk about 35 million pounds a year there, as well as what you get for their sale. There's a lot of. This is what I mean. Like, if you want to buy players, we got to lower that wage bill, and we've got to create some money to spend. it's probably more important than who we're going to bring in, because the first stage is to generate the transfer budget, and you generate the transfer budget by reducing the wage bill and creating fees. We've got to get active. And I hope we're working on that. I just want David to retire as a Man United legend, says Jeremy. And right off topic, we need a striker like Chicharito. Mind spelling, he was always in the correct position. We have so many open chances. Weghorst is great, but watching United over the years, we need that quality, says Ben. I actually like Weghorst. I thought against Betis, Weghorst was quite good at getting on the end of crosses. If he had another yard of pace, I think he'd be, you probably would be talking about him being good enough to play in a top 4 side. The trouble with Weghorst is he just doesn't have that. I think my dishwasher's quicker over the first 2 meters than he is. He is. That's not it is a criticism. I'm not slagging him off. I think Fred's crap in the air. I think that Rashford's crap at tackling. Like, that you can be crap at something and still be really liked and a really good player. Unfortunately for Weghorst, he isn't blessed with blistering pace over the first 2 yards. He's pretty slow. He's like my shower. My shower's great. I love my shower. It's quite powerful, and it's lovely and hot. But it takes 30 seconds for the heat to come through. Don't get in my shower anyway. But don't get in my shower if you want it to be hot in the first 30 seconds. You'll be cold. Like, once it gets going, it's beautiful. But my shower's a bit like Weghorst over the first 5 yards. It's very slow to get going. Morning, Mark. Hope you're well. I've done that from Joey. I don't know why that's hanging around there, but appreciate that. But his work ethic's brilliant. I like Weghorst. I really do. And I think he's been a breath of fresh air for the fact that we had no money. What people forget about Weghorst is there was nobody else. We had no money and we needed somebody. Imagine if we hadn't got Weghorst. How would we have got through the last... I think that's always a really intelligent way of looking at it as well. What would life have been like without Weghorst? Because it's not like... What people forget is that we spent next to nothing to get Weghorst. It was less than 5 million. It was nothing. So if we didn't get him, you'd have ended up with something else that was very, very cheap, that may have been worse, or nothing at all. So let's imagine the scenario. We don't get Weghorst. Think of all the games, Barcelona games, all the cup wins, all the league wins, and Weghorst isn't available. He's not on the bench. He's not playing at number 10. He's not playing up front. How would we have got by? And I think that's a really important thing. Whatever you think about Weghorst, and I think in general, most fans are like me. We like him, we protect him, we appreciate his hard work, but we know he's limited. But we also know he's a stopgap. And a stopgap goes... Agarlo was more mobile than Weghorst. He was never anywhere... Agarlo was crap compared to Weghorst. And yet, if you offered me Agarlo or Weghorst, as both 28, let's say, I'd go with Agarlo because I'd go, he's quicker, I just like his movement. But actually, Weghorst has worked out to be a better signing. So, look, he's not the solution, but he's what we need at the moment. Hi, Mark. Hope you're okay. Would be nice to get rid of those squad players and bring in some young development players. Any updates on contracts, says Jude? Contracts, obviously Marcus Rashford's contracts is going to be quite complex because it's a big one. Dalot should be announced soon. Luke Shaw's a bit complex. David de Gea's should be announced soon. And then you've got Fred, which I suppose is an interesting one because he's probably deserving of a new contract, but he's on good money and he's 30. So it's just about how long we give a contract to Fred. And, I think Fred's in that position actually where if Man United are offering Fred a 3-year deal on 100 grand a week, as a free deal, he could probably get more and longer from somebody. Football can be stupid like that. There might be a club like a Newcastle or even an Everton that say, look, we'll give you 120 grand a week in a 5-year deal. So the Fred deal is quite interesting, I suppose. Loving Malacia, what a buy he's been. Rashford plays better when he's on. Thinks it's because he knows he's got the pace to get back so can stay forward, says Curtis. I think Luke Shaw gets back and forward a lot as well, doesn't he? Q says, hello from Japan. I'd love to stay, but I've got to go for my lesson. We can raise £200 million through wages and transfers by removing those players you've just said, says Paddy. Oh, exactly. It's a lot of money. I think that the most important thing is, and I think a lot of you realise this anyway, that even if we got bought by Al Thani, who's very, very rich, we can't just go and spend £500 million this summer. We can't spend £300 million this summer. The most we can spend this summer is somewhere between £200 and £300 million if we get bought by Al Thani. If we got bought by Sir Jim, I think that reduces massively because I don't think he's got the funds. But you can't just do that's the whole point of financial fair play. Otherwise, clubs could get bought by Elon Musk and he could just spend $3 billion in the first summer. You can't do it. Even if he's got the money, you can't do it. You've got to comply. So whoever takes over us this summer, we've got to generate money so that it allows us to spend money. And we'll generate money by selling a few players and reducing that wage bill, which we then can replace with signings. So we've got to do that. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, but actually who we sell this summer is massively impactive on who we buy. In a way, it's sell to buy, but it's not. We can still buy one or two, but if we want to buy 4 or 5, we need to sell quite a few as well. Let me just tell you as well. So, I had an English breakfast this morning. You might not know what they are. Absolute goat breakfast. And on my English breakfast, my lineup today was bacon, sausages, fried mushrooms, baked beans, 2 fried eggs, and some lovely homemade toast. That was it. I wouldn't have minded a bit of black pudding on it. I do like that. But that's pretty much as good as it gets. A hash brown or 2 would have been good as well, but I wasn't being greedy. So there we go. Sets you up lovely for the day. Let me just say, thanks everyone for tuning in this morning. Smash a like and subscribe. Don't forget, if you want to get tickets for the London live tour, links in the description. And today, what am I doing today? Well, it's a Saturday, so it's a bit of a different day on the United Stand. I think we've got a really good video coming up for you at some point today, so keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you subscribe, because when that lands, I think you're going to really enjoy it. I can't say too much what it is, but I think you're really going to enjoy it. On top of that, I'm going to be on That's Football at 3 o'clock for the 3 o'clock games. So if you're watching, keep an eye on that. And then tonight, 7:30, National Radio Talk Sport, 7:30 till 9 o'clock. It will be live on YouTube, also live on the radio. The Mark Goldbridge Show. I had some great calls last week. If you want to call in and have your say, that's absolutely fine. And don't forget to not watch Match of the Day tonight. Very important. Don't watch Match of the Day. Speak to you later. Thanks for watching.